The champions, my friends. Toronto Raptors 2019 NBA champions.
Woo! And the board man does get paid.
Heyo! Canada's number one in every single aspect.
Yes. The board man does get paid. Yes, this is a fantasy football podcast. Yes, you are in the right place. We are a Canadian podcast and fired up for the Raptors to get that dub over the Dubs. This is episode 58 of the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. We have got on this beautiful Saturday morning, June 22nd to be exact, a silent partnered mock draft between Landon and I and Scott and Mark. And to kick things off, though, you're just going to have to excuse us. If you don't like basketball, skip, fast forward if you need to. But we're going to talk a little bit of NBA Finals because the boys are fired up. Scott lives downtown Toronto, so he was there for the parade. Going to give you a little bit of insight. But, man, what a Finals. I'm absolutely fired up still, and it's been, a little over a week.
Absolutely. I am too. And I would call myself a fairly casual NBA fan. I'm not on the pulse of the NBA like I am with the NFL, but you better believe I felt like their number one fan when I was watching them throughout the playoffs.
Drew knows
I was up in the middle of the
fan.
night. Exactly. Drew knows it. She got actually mad at me for bringing that up last week. So
amazing.
Whoops. At par for the course, I guess, right, guys?
I didn't get the text, so she couldn't have been that mad.
No, it's fine. She's all right. Fine. But either way, I'm super psyched for the Raptors. I actually bought one of their champions hats the night of the win. Mm-hmm. No one can find those OVO hats, which are super dope.
No, that's just a Drake exclusive.
Dang, I would love one of those hats.
Did you see he FaceTime Steph Curry like right after the win, like when he was leaving the arena, and Curry was like, "Congrats, blah, blah, blah," and then he's like, "Yo, how did you get that hat?" And he's like, "I had this ready, boy."
Marky, what about you? How'd you feel about that NBA Finals?
Well, so I spend quite a bit of time with Drake. I do some ghostwriting for him, courtside here and there. But no, I'm not the biggest basketball fan either. But obviously, you catch that fever when you see that they take down one team and just keep winning in these miraculous fashions. When Kawhi Leonard hit that game-winning shot against Philly, that was the final moment that defined how I would be spending my nights when Raptors basketball was on. I was actually, when the championship game was on, I was out. It was late night. I was swimming. I was having a sauna. It was beautiful. We were listening on an AM radio, just everybody tuned in to the final horn, and it was a pretty magical time, actually. So, yeah, I will definitely look back fondly on that memory, and I love this country. I just hope we get an NFL team next,
Oh, that is wishful thinking. The Argos are kicking off their season soon, though.
Oh yeah, we got you got the battle of the QEW there. You got Hamilton versus the Argos this weekend, I believe.
CFL, who cares? Who cares?
Scotty, describe best of your ability to our listeners and to us the electricity around Toronto in the past few weeks.
The electricity was unlike anything I'd ever seen before in my 10, 12 years living here. It really felt like it was kind of the continuation and completion of what happened when the Blue Jays were going on their big runs. Mm-hmm. It was a similar feeling, right?
But like 20 times larger.
Well, it was. I mean, the Raptors fans really are the best fans. You got like just they're so ethnically diverse. Like the cultures, it's everybody is there for the exact same reason, and I just loved seeing the kind of everybody come together. Well, that the 2 million people that showed up for that victory parade. The city was like a moving organism. It was insane. But as far as the actual playoff run went, it did feel a lot like when the Blue Jays loaded up, traded some prospects, whatnot, and just said they were going for it. But this just felt like it was that times a million, because we all knew from the beginning of this season, there's only one shot. You know, you got Kawhi for 1 year, and who knows what's happening.
Maybe not.
But we knew we had him for 1 year. And I found that's what all season long, it just put this urgency on it where we all, like, there was no, oh, well, maybe if we don't get it this year. It was so much fun to just watch a team go all out, like it's this year or bust. And to have it all come together, you just felt it from the fans all the way through. And whether it was the massive mob craziness that was the night we won it, where people were just scaling buildings and just buses covered with people, or the parade, which was just unlike anything I'd ever seen. This is something I'll never forget. And what a great group of players. What a great selfless team. You know, no number one overall picks. Like, you actually look at where these guys were drafted, the fact that they won. I just love everything about it, and it's been an amazing month or so.
Oh, it's been amazing. The one thing I want to say is, the popular narrative right now amongst a lot of people talking NBA basketball is that, you want to put an asterisk beside the Raptors win here because they beat a hobbled Golden State team. And, I think that's unfair, being a Raptors fan, but also just being like a fan of basketball and, being a basketball coach and understanding the game. You can't penalize a team for being deep. You can't penalize a team for withstanding injuries. Like, injuries are a part of the game. You got to give Toronto credit where credit's due. I mean, Kyle Lowry was banged up. Kawhi was banged up. It went on both sides of the floor. It just happened. Yeah, Van Vliet went out with those stitches. I mean, it just happened to be the biggest players for the Warriors. Ended up with some health problems, and they shouldn't have rushed KD back. But also, on the flip side, like when the Warriors beat the Cavaliers for their first championship to start this run, they beat a team that had an injured Kyrie and an injured Kevin Love, and it was only LeBron and the other guys on the floor. Like, you can't. No one talks about that for the Warriors now. We've all sort of swept that under the rug. So I think you have to take your hats off to the Raptors, whether you like them or not. I mean, the four of us love them because we're from Toronto, but those that don't penalize the Raptors for being a deep team and can get it done with their bench, because longevity is a huge part of a long and arduous NBA season. So I just think I want to put that to bed, because that's sort of something that's been bugging me a little bit.
Anytime, in my opinion, that a team stops a three-peat from the champions, there should be no asterisks, because that team was phenomenal and we bested them.
Did you guys hear the stat about Kawhi real quick? So Kawhi Leonard, when he won his first championship with the Spurs, stopped the Miami Heat from their three-peat and got Finals MVP. And in his second, he also got Finals MVP, where he was stopping the Warriors from a three-peat.
Right.
If you're looking for your third win in a row and Kawhi Leonard's on the other team, it ain't good news for you. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mac, are we on Instagram or Twitter?
Oh, Mark, thank you so much. We are on Instagram at Saturday Morning Snap. We're also on Twitter. Our main account is SMS_fantasy. I'll give you a second here just to jot that down, or click the links in the episode description. You can also get the boys on Twitter. Their individual handles are in the episode description as well. And just a quick shout out wherever you guys are and however you may be lit. The four of us want to thank you so much for being here with us today as we jump into this mock draft and give you the goods. So, Landon, do you want to explain the format, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, so it's a 2v2. We got the OGs. We got Mac and I against the new guys, Scotty and Mark. The format, to make this a little bit more fun, we're going to alternate picks. So Mac will select, and then I will select. And as soon as Mackenzie makes his pick, he can no longer talk. So he can't say who he would pick. I need to go off trying to make the best team together. Maybe I need to think about what he's going after, why he made his pick, but we can't discuss amongst ourselves. I'll be kind of just thinking out loud to the listeners on my process, and hopefully once I pick, we'll hear his reaction and then hopefully have some fun from there. Same thing goes for Scott and Mark. it's going to be tough for Scott to not talk sometimes, but he's going to have to try his best.
So essentially, like, your pick is like the off-on switch for your mic, right?
Basically.
So once you make the selection, you can't talk anymore, and the microphone goes over to your partner. And so there will be no discussion back and forth as to who you should draft. You're really gonna have to rely on your partner to sort of pick up some of the draft strategies and team needs and so on and so forth. So it is a 12-team league. We are drafting by choice back-to-back. So we're going to give the new guys, Mark and Scott, the 6th overall pick, and we're going to go right behind them at the 7th. So this is a half point per reception format, and we're going to get this thing started. So we're gonna kick it off, and I guess I'm on the clock first. So Landon cannot talk, and who's making the selection for you guys? Is it going to be Scott or Mark first?
It's all yours, Scotty.
Okay, so Scott's going to make the choice first, and I'm going to make the choice first for us. And so there's a run of running backs off the board, and Devontae Adams is in the mix. So it goes over to Scott, and he's got the 6th overall pick. We've got Barkley, Elliott, McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, and Kamara off the board.
All right, Scott, let's talk it through. What are you thinking?
All right. Well, as a whole just swath of studs came off the board here to start. The running back position already highly valued. Oh boy, a little bit of a debate going on here. Melvin Gordon, Lev Bell.
25 seconds.
You know what? I'm going to go at 1-6, Lev Bell.
Oh my.
Le'Veon Bell, number 1.
Landon, you can't talk.
Le'Veon Bell.
Sorry.
For crying out loud.
I know. You got to hate that. All right. I got 50 seconds. David Johnson and Melvin Gordon have both fallen. I'm a huge Melvin Gordon fan. I would love to go DeAndre Hopkins here just to get that sort of wide receiver 1. I didn't think he'd fall this far, but Melvin Gordon is really enticing. I'm just going to look ahead to see who we might get with the next pick. And we've got a couple guys in the area that could be half decent, but I'm gonna take the stud, the bell cow. I'm gonna take Melvin Gordon.
All right, I would have probably taken David Johnson there. I've been very happy with him lately, and so let's see here. We have the 206 mark. And for me, it's between Juju Smith-Schuster, Damian Williams, and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is that kind of home run hitter, but we all know that Kareem Hunt's coming back eventually. What the timeshare is going to be like is the question mark. I think to keep this even, to keep this pretty fair, I think we're going to go wide receiver. It would have been nice if like an Odell Beckham or Michael Thomas was still on the board. But I think we go Juju Smith-Schuster here at that wide receiver spot and go running back, wide receiver.
When you were talking Nick Chubb or Damian Williams, I was having a heart attack.
You did not want me.
Landon, you can't talk, Landon. Jeez, that was a test, bro. You're failing.
I'm gonna keep playing those the pattern that those OG boys,
Game respect game,
as they call themselves. Which, by the way, let me just specify, this is about the only circle of life where I'm not considered an OG.
Everybody know Mark.
Everybody know. But I'm gonna go for Antonio Brown here. This is I can't not take him. He is the best receiver in the league.
I like that pick.
Solid pick, Mark. Solid pick.
Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Damian Williams, Devonta Freeman off the board to end the second round. And now we're into the early parts of the third. Coming back to Scott, whose pick is coming up at the 306. I'm trying to look ahead to see who I can get here. And maybe we can go back to running back, see who makes it back to us. Keenan Allen, Marlon Mack off the board. T.Y. Hilton, Patrick Mahomes goes, and the tight ends have started with Zach Ertz. So coming back to Scotty, and he's got his choice. Hey, Derrick Henry's on the board, my man. You should probably take him.
All right, we're here in round 3, and now that
Just take
Mark
him, just
has
do
grabbed
it.
us arguably the top wide receiver in the league with Antonio Brown, I think I'm gonna head back to get us a solid RB2. Oh boy. Well, out of the remaining running backs to slot in as starters, between Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs,
10 seconds.
Johnson, or Sony Michel. Oh,
No.
you know what?
Are you
Let's
serious?
do it. We're going Derrick Henry.
He went
I like that, Scott. I don't dislike that one
Le'Veon
bit.
Bell and Derrick Henry. You guys are so screwed.
That up,
you guys
baby.
are so screwed. Oh, man. All right. Looking at the board here, we've got some sweet options at wide receiver. We've got Keenan Allen, AJ Green, Amari Cooper. I like Keenan Allen the best out of those 3. Other guys in consideration would be Aaron Jones and Kerryon Johnson. I would be happy with some guys that are in the later pieces here. So I just think best player available at this point is Keenan Allen, and that's the direction that I'm going to go.
100% Mac. I'm glad you picked Keenan Allen. It's like we're on the same wavelength here, and I am fortunate to draft with you, my friend. So for me, let's see here. So we got Melvin Gordon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Keenan Allen. Some good running backs went off the board. Aaron Jones I really like. Kerryon Johnson I'm a big fan of. David Montgomery, another rookie. We've got Mark Ingram, Sony Michel, Brandon Cooks. I think we go running back here because after this, there's a giant tier break. So it's between Mark Ingram and Sony. I've openly said that I do not much believe in Sony Michel, and I do believe in Mark Ingram. I think he is the pick here. Yes, Mark Ingram. And as you'll find next week, we know I also like Justice Hill, and I think it's a great option to pick Justice Hill up in the late rounds, especially if you're a Mark Ingram owner. So yeah, that's my pick.
I see that foreshadowing, Landon, loud and clear. Got it. We are on the same wavelength. It's like we don't even need to speak. You know, it's just we're wired. We're here. We out here. We doing this. It's on you, boys.
I want to move back towards wide receiver here now that we've got, Lev Bell and Derrick Henry. No better combo than that. It is so tempting for me to look at Tyreek Hill's name there, but it is also complete another poison.
That would just be back-to-back wasted picks with Henry and Hill. I would love that. Just hand us
Or
the
I could
win.
draft. What about Henry Hill from Goodfellas? Wish I could draft him.
15 seconds.
I like to get some of this action on the Rams here. I think I'm going to go Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. So we got 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs each. And we've got a couple quarterbacks off the board now in Pat Mahomes and Andrew Luck. We also have the big 3 tight end on the landscape with Ertz, Kelsey, and Kittle off the board as well. And O.J. Howard joins that group early into the 5th round. So it comes back to Scott, and he's got a decision to make here. What are you thinking, Scotty? Walk us through your mind.
In the 5th round, I'm getting down to a debate that is always long-ranging of at what point is the drop-off for top-tier quarterbacks. And got Aaron Rodgers here, who I possibly could grab. But I'm wondering if it's a little too early for me to grab a quarterback, because I usually go a little more dumpster diving in the late rounds. But Aaron Rodgers is elite, and
7 seconds.
quite a tier drop off after him. So you know what? I'm doing it. 5-6, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that's a good pick. If you would have passed on Aaron Rodgers, I was going to take Aaron Rodgers. So A good selection by you. Now I've got left on the board for me a slew of options. Way too early, I think. Now that Rodgers is gone, he would have been my last guy in this tier. Even though Deshaun Watson's there, I think it's too early. Aaron Rodgers is definitely one of the top fantasy options, so it would have been nice. Calvin Ridley, Sammy Watkins, Tyler Lockett, all guys that I'm not too high on. Calvin Ridley would be the best, but I do like Chris Godwin, so that he's on my radar here. I also don't mind James White. 20 seconds left. You know what? I'm probably going to end up going Chris Godwin here. Give us our third wide receiver. I would like to go running back, but there's just not a whole lot that I like in this range at the moment. So we are going to go with my man Chris Godwin from Tampa Bay.
I end up with Lamar Miller a lot in my mock drafts, but I will not select him. I think going wide receiver again is one of the better options here. Jeez. I think we go Tyler Boyd here as a wide receiver here to complement Chris Godwin. And all right, I'm done. That's it. Tyler Boyd's the pick.
Back-to-back wide receivers.
Okay, so I liked Boyd too, and I'm a little bit torn right now. We got 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. No tight ends yet, but I'm not crazy about the guys that are sitting there right now for this draft position. Ebron being the top, followed by Cook and McDonald, Njoku, and so on. But who I'm actually kind of leaning towards now is Alshon. I think there is lots of talk right now about increase in production for him and just Carson Wentz being able to make more things happen with a full season ahead of him if he stays healthy, like Alshon. But it's a question between him or Tevin for me. And I think, given the player that Tevin is, I can't pass up on him. Taking Tevin Coleman.
Interesting. Landon, I kind of wish that you had taken a running back with your pick, but we are loaded up now with some wide receivers. So, I mean, it is a half point per reception league. We have Melvin Gordon, who is a pass catcher. Mark Ingram, not so much. So I was hoping that we went running back there and maybe could go wide receiver here. But either way, we'll go best player available and we'll figure it out coming home here. So just reading our teams back, we have Landon and I, Melvin Gordon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Keenan Allen, Mark Ingram, Chris Godwin, and Tyler Boyd. And then Mark and Scott have Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Derrick Henry, Brandon Cooks, Aaron Rodgers, and Tevin Coleman. So Baker Mayfield goes off the board, which is interesting, right after Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And still on the board, some decent players. I'm not sure how I feel about Rashad Penny, and he goes anyway, so I don't have to debate over him. But it is Scott's pick. Scott, walk us through what you're thinking here. You got some needs to fill.
We do have some needs to fill, and with Mark taking Tevin Coleman there, we certainly are covered in the running back position, so I'm no longer looking at that. As he touched on, we are in rough shape at tight end. And
Rob Gronkowski is available, just saying.
Thank you. We've started to hit a bit of a teardrop in the wide receiver range, so I'm really debating between going Jared Cook or Vance McDonald at this point, because we do need a tight end. We need a starter. And, I mean, it's tough, but I think I might take a risk that everybody likes to take. Drew Brees, tight end. Let's go Jared Cook.
Oh, Jared Cook off the board. That's an interesting pick at tight end. On the clock for us, man, we've got some interesting decisions to make here. Jared Cook was a consideration at tight end, but now that he's gone, I guess we could continue waiting. Looking at some of the running back options available, we've got Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders. Funny, those two are going back to back. We've got Kareem Hunt in the wayside, which is, he's on a 8-game suspension. So You're not going to get him till late into your fantasy season. To be honest, there's not a whole lot at running back that I really like here. So this is kind of a yucky spot. Oh, man. Do I believe in Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders more? I know you'll like this pick, Landon. I'm going to go Miles Sanders just for you.
It's funny. I probably would have gone Jordan Howard.
Trouble in
But
paradise.
you know, that's where I think it's I think that's what makes it fun with this format. I would have probably tried to convince you into something else, but that's all right. I think Miles Sanders does have the upside long term. Hopefully, it just depends on how soon he actually gets that opportunity. And for me, I'm looking at I think a teardrop in tight end. So Vance McDonald is the top of our list. We do need a tight end. I think that's our safest bet. Otherwise, I would go Latavius Murray. I think he has a really substantial workload, being the complement to Alvin Kamara in New Orleans. And otherwise, Christian Kirk is also on my list. But let's go Vance McDonald. We need a tight end, 4th or 8th round. Might as well just lock that up.
It's interesting that you wanted to go Vance there. I'm not as high on Vance as maybe you are, and I'm now seeing a run of quarterbacks, so I probably might have gone quarterback and tried to pick somebody up with a couple guys left, but we can sort of play it by ear and see who falls to us in the coming rounds. But 40 seconds on the clock right now. Over to you, Mark. Who are you thinking here?
So I did some digging, and I did some writing. Actually, you can check out the Patreon pod of the little piece about this player in particular, whom Russell Wilson had nothing but tremendous things to say about.
No, you're not doing
tremendous is a word he used about this player. No. I'm doing it. I'm taking DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah. DK Metcalf. I'm all about that pick.
1.6% body fat.
A minicamp hero.
That's such a rookie pick, isn't it, Landon? Oh wait, you can't talk right now, cheater.
Some might call him a minicamp hero if they had access to a microphone.
Wow, it's like an echo in this room.
All right, what are we left with here?
Oh, no. Geronimo
no,
just...
right.
I was really hoping Geronimo fell to us there.
All right, so we are relatively covered at wide receiver. Although DK, we will have to see if he is tremendous. Covered at tight end. We have more than enough running backs. Now this gets interesting. We have an elite quarterback.
Well, be careful, elite with Jared Goff. Jeez Louise.
Elite? I don't have Jared Goff. I have Aaron Rodgers. I thought you'd be all over that.
Oh, I thought you said we have an elite quarterback left. I was like, no.
No, we most certainly do not. Oh, this is tough. 20 seconds. I feel like we're playing for depth.
That is typically what you do in the 9th round, Scott. You play for depth. That's correct. Yep.
And you know what? I'm going Hardman.
No, you're not. Oh my God!
It has been said.
The cryptocurrency man himself, which we'll talk. That's foreshadowing for next week's pod. A little bit of fantasy stock talk. Oh, that puts me in an interesting position here. Jared Goff, Jerick McKinnon, Marvin Jones, Phillip Rivers on the board. What do we really need here, Landon? Is it time to dive into the quarterback realm? Goff, Rivers, Winston,
right now, Matt.
Brady, Big Ben.
He's behind that window. It's soundproof.
I know that.
I can't hear you.
It's
he's
a soundproof.
on the glass.
He's screaming. I can't read lips. I don't know what he's saying. 20 seconds on the clock. Yay. Marvin Jones is interesting. I would like to get another running back. I like having more running backs on my team just for longevity. And I think Jerick McKinnon, I'm going to take a shot on him. I know he's still banged up, but I'm going to have some hope that he returns healthy and we get a little bit of a stud on our team.
You read my mind, Mac. I was shaking my head when you were going to go quarterback, and I wanted more depth at running back. And I think Jerick McKinnon's that good mix of upside and floor. It just depends on health. And in the 9th round, you might as well take that shot. But now we have... See, the problem is, there was a little bit of a run on quarterback, but I don't mind if Josh Allen is our quarterback 1. Big Ben, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson. There's lots of guys still left. Looking at the draft board, everyone ahead of us and behind us has a quarterback. So I'm even considering I don't know. At this point, it's kind of just an easy one to take a quarterback and let the draft fall out. 10 seconds on the board. I'm tilting a little bit. I don't like anyone off the board, so my favorite quarterback, I guess, would be Big Ben. Big Ben.
Okay.
Would be the choice.
I like the rookie receivers we've gotten in the last
Ben.
2 rounds. Scott.
Okay.
I think McColl is one of those guys who's going to get a lot of throws this year, no matter what happens. You don't have to listen to what those guys think about our rookie picks. I like them. I like Metcalf and Hardman, and they're jealous because they don't have them. I'm going to go for a little more depth, though, at this running back position with a guy who is maybe not guaranteed to start, but he's guaranteed to get feeds and to be a part of what I think is going to be a pretty productive offense. So I think I'm going to go Peyton Barber here.
I honestly thought you were about to say Peyton Manning. I was like, bro,
Guaranteed to get lots of touches with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I like that pick.
Peyton Manning.
No, Peyton Barber, he's an interesting pick because there is going to be definitely some training camp showdowns, but he still was their leading back last year, and you know what? At this position, I will absolutely take it.
Scott, just a note to you, Delaney Walker is still on the board if you're interested in taking a tight end.
If you think I haven't seen that, you're insane. All right, and here we are. Oh, Adrian Peterson right off the board, right ahead of me. You hate to see that.
I would hate to see you draft him, to be honest.
All right, so we got, let's see. We got a washed up Deshaun Jackson. It's a little too early to be taking a defense, that's for sure.
Are you sure? You could.
Boy, this is tough.
There's lots of there's lots of good guys in the mix here. It just depends. Do you see value in them? Are they worth taking a shot on at this point?
That's kind of what I'm wondering. We got 10 seconds left. Tough call here. You know what? Let's kick it off. Let's take Deshaun Jackson.
Oh my goodness. Deshaun Jackson. Okay, Landon, I'm going to talk real quick about your last pick. So you took Ben Roethlisberger. I didn't mind it. I didn't want Tom Brady as our quarterback. And so the reason why I didn't mind the Ben Roethlisberger pick, even though you tilted a little bit, was because we have Juju Smith-Schuster. And I do like stacking quarterback with wide receiver if the opportunity permits itself. So that's a fantastic stack. Hopefully he, finds that chemistry like he did with AB. 30 seconds left on the clock for us. We're looking for like an upside guy, someone who can fly, someone who can, get things done. I would love to go tight end here and get a little bit more depth with maybe like a TJ Hawkinson. I'm going to actually pass on that and go with a little bit more of a volatile play. I'm going to go with Kiki QT, someone who can absolutely flourish, especially if Will Fuller goes down.
Yes, I love that pick, Mac. I was yelling Kiki in the microphone silently, and I like that pick. And it's I would have. We do have quite a few Pittsburgh Steelers, as we do have Vance McDonald as well. So, we got that tri-stack going with Juju and Vance. So at this point, I would consider maybe taking Josh Allen as our second quarterback in the 12th round. Paris Campbell is a good upside play as well. At running back, I was hoping Devin Singletary would actually going to come around to us, believe it or not. Damian Harris is an interesting option. A little too early for Justice Hill quite yet. So for me, it's between Paris Campbell and Josh Allen to get a second quarterback. Dang, do I go upside with Paris, or do I just... We have Kiki, an upside play. We don't have... Chris Godwin's a pretty good upside. We have a great wide receiving core here. And unfortunately, there's just no running backs that really stand out. I'm going to go Paris Campbell. Rookie, might as well.
Okay. I'm not too crazy about
Paris.
I don't know. We've got 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers. But I guess in this game, I do like a couple of these receivers. Notably, I like MVS a lot just because I think he is going to flourish this year. And
I like
he's a big
that.
boy. He's got good hands. And I just kind of want a piece of that Green Bay offense. So, I went running back last time. I'm going to go receiver this time, MVS.
That's what I was going to say. That's a good pick. I don't think he's going to have quite the season that everyone thinks. I think people forget how good Geronimo Allison is and how much Rodgers likes him. But I do think it's worth having a piece of that offense, especially with LaFleur coming in and, stirring things up and just adding a little bit of like a fresh perspective. Like can they throw the ball more? Can they be more successful on offense? Like, hopefully the answer is yes. And if it is, MVS is probably a really good play. Especially in the 12th round. I mean, that's gold upside play.
Definitely a high risk, high reward type play, but like you said, we're in the 12th round. So we definitely have a theme for this team. It is high upside rookie wide receivers or young guys. That being said, I am on the clock, and although it might not be a sexy pick, one of my guys to watch for this upcoming season has fallen to me here. So I will be adding to our quarterback depth to back up Aaron Rodgers. We're going to grab Kirk Cousins, who I think is in for a good rebound season in his second year with Minnesota with that receiving core.
I don't know how he could fall so far.
Oh, I would not have done that. And we'll talk about it after, why I wouldn't have done that. And I hope Landon I can see him. He's waving, he's screaming, he's jumping up and down in the glass-proof chamber that he's in right now. But I would not have gone Kirk Cousins there. But I'm going to go upside play. He's probably going to scream at me for this too. I don't like Vance McDonald as our every week player at the tight end position. Even though we have Big Ben with the stack, he has shown to be volatile. I know Jesse James is out of the picture now, so upside is increased for Vance McDonald, hopefully with opportunities. But I'm going to go with a guy who's probably going to be like a waiver wire darling come like weeks 5 or 6. Probably a lot of fab being spent at him. Noah Fant, rookie for the Denver Broncos. Book it.
I knew you were going to go Noah Fant. You're a sucker for Noah. And I guess I don't blame you on that. He's a very fine young.
That's what Landon was jumping at the glass to say was a sensible head nod.
So for me here, we have we have to go defense kicker. That kind of sucks with the last pick. So all right, that's all she wrote, I guess, for us. I missed on my Justice Hill, so Dallas Cowboys defense, and that's okay.
So just for strategy, really quick, I would say to people at this point where you're in your last 2 picks of the draft, you don't have to go wide receiver. You don't have to go kicker defense. You can roster those kickers and defense after, like if you're doing this in like the middle of like preseason. And you're waiting on guys, like go ahead and scoop up those guys that could be flyers, and then before week 1 comes, just drop who didn't hit and pick up that kicker or that defense that you're looking to stream for that week, right? So don't feel obligated to take kicker defense in these situations. It just gives you 2 more roster spots to sort of play with.
Yeah, you're totally right. I did that same thing when I was in my auction league last year, and I ended up making a trade. I did a 2-for-1 trade, and so it worked out good. I upgraded one position, and then I got my kicker.
So we'll just auto draft this thing out. The last 2 picks, we're not going to talk about kicker and defense.
I didn't go defense.
That's just a waste of time. So let's go back and read the good. Let's go back and read through our rosters here. Landon and I at the 107 going Melvin Gordon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Keenan Allen, Mark Ingram, Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd, Miles Sanders, Vance McDonald, Jerick McKinnon, Big Ben, Kiki QT, Paris Campbell, Noah Fant. Mark and Scott, the rookie team, what do you guys got?
Well, reading back our all-star lineup, full of potential, we've got Lev Bell with the 1-6, Antonio Brown, the best wide receiver, at 2-7. We then went Derrick Henry as our second running back, Brandon Cooks, followed by the best QB, I'm sure Mac will agree, Aaron Rodgers at 5-6. We went Tevin Coleman.
Yep.
At 6-7, Jared Cook, our starting tight end, at 7-6. Then we went a run on rookie wide receivers with Metcalf and McCole Hardman back-to-back. And then we went Peyton Barber, Deshaun Jackson, Marquez MVS, as Mark likes to call him. Then we got some quarterback depth with Kirk Cousins on the rebound, and then we went into auto draft mode.
Okay, so before we go, we'll talk about each other's team, one strength, one weakness, maybe a move that you really liked, and then something that you would have changed. So I'm going to flip it over to the rookie team, and we'll let the OGs sit back for right now. So Mark, Scott, tell us one thing that you liked about our team and one thing that you would have changed. They are talking about our team.
Well, I'll hit you with what I'm not crazy about is getting Mark Ingram. I just don't think that there's enough volume to really justify the pick for your 4th round to be Mark Ingram there. I think it may have popped at the top of the list, but I still think there was more valuable running backs on the board to be had before Mark Ingram. That's what I think.
So would you rather have Philip Lindsay or David Montgomery?
I think I would take a Philip Lindsay before Mark Ingram any day of the week.
Oh, it was afterwards. It's Chris Carson or something.
Yeah, either way,
it went
I'd take
the other
Chris
way.
Carson before Mark Ingram too.
I was happy with the Ingram over Michelle pick. Carson's on the fence for me, but I do like Mark Ingram. It's a team that loves to run the ball, and they obviously brought him in for a reason. So, I mean, I could see where you would want to go the other side, but yeah, I don't mind Mark Ingram.
Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. My sticking point was also the Mark Ingram pick that early on in the draft, just as theoretically you'd be trotting him out as your second starting running back, which, Melvin Gordon, you started really strong. And then if you did line it up with your top picks as week 1, Melvin Gordon and Mark Ingram, I do think that maybe that's a little weak on the RB2 side of things. But overall, you've got a ton of strength at wide receiver. Chris Godwin might have been a very sneaky value pick there at 5. He could be in for a big year if they're slinging it and always from behind. So, you have a lot of running back depth, but, the Miles Sanders, the Jerick McKinnons, there's a lot of question marks there about whether they'll be immediately producing in the Sanders side or if they'll be healthy in the Jerick McKinnon side. So if I had to say a weakness, I'd say that at least beyond Melvin Gordon, there's a lot of moving parts for you at running back.
Well, Scott, if you had left us Derrick Henry, like our running back situation might look totally different.
Oh, I know. You're very jealous, and I appreciate that.
So, for
Landon, what do you think?
About our team or their team?
Size up this rookie team. What do you think?
So,
Can I talk about what I like?
You want to give us a compliment? Absolutely, Mark.
What I really like is your 11th, 12th, 13th, Cutie, Campbell, and Fant. I think those guys are names that are easily overlooked, but guys like you will, you've got a nose for the young guys and the people that would be role fillers given like a certain condition or a certain outcome. Like you say, like Kiki Cutie, like his role will depend on Will Fuller's health in a little way, which Will Fuller is not
the most healthy guy.
100%. Yeah, so I think that was a well-played veteran late rounds for you. I like those.
Yeah, thanks, Marky. It's funny. I like teams with Kiki in the late rounds as well. So for me, I don't mind your team at the 106. I think Lev Bell was a reach. I would have easily gone David Johnson in that spot. And then Antonio Brown, I think you kind of got at a pretty good value there. I normally end up with a Damian Williams in that spot. So if I was in the 106, I might have gone Hopkins, Williams, that kind of combo. Derrick Henry, we know the upside for Derrick Henry. If you love him, you love him. I prefer Keenan Allen at that spot. It's really I do really like those end of the first round picks when you get like an Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Kerryon Johnson. Those teams always look really good to me when you get those late third round running backs. And obviously Aaron Rodgers, I thought that was a little bit of a reach. I would have been not as happy with our team if Mack would have drafted him, which I know he would have. And then you've got upside across the board. I think DK Metcalf and McCole Harbin was a little bit of a reach early in the 8th, 9th round. There was still some pretty decent picks there, and some guys like Christian Kirk that has actually proven himself already in Arizona, and Dante Pettis in San Francisco, where these are sophomore receivers that show they can cut it in the NFL and are probably going to get some more volume than what DK and Hardman. I get the upside, and I know that the coach speak and the hype that Russell Wilson's been saying, but I think it's a little bit early for those when you could have probably got similar rookies a few rounds later.
I'm going to go out and defend the guys and say that Aaron Rodgers at the 5-6 was a great pick. I mean,
yeah, you like that.
Historically a guy that's been, a second, third round pick at his peak. Now you're getting a 2-round discount on him. And really what's changed? Like, if not more than ever, Green Bay is more of a fantasy relevant option, and Rodgers should be throwing the ball more. So I think, man, Rodgers in the middle of the 5th, like that's gold. What's going to be the difference between Rodgers and Luck or Rodgers and Mahomes at the end of the season? Why is Patrick Mahomes a 3rd-round pick when he lost Tyreek Hill? And he's a candidate for regression. Like, to pay that price for Patrick Mahomes when you can get Aaron Rodgers 2.5 rounds later, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm actually going to do the opposite and applaud the guys for their pick of Aaron Rodgers in the middle of the 5th. If they had a pass, I would have taken. I just think the value's too good. And call me biased, call me a homer, but I thought it was a great pick. I'm going to sort of jump on to the Kirk Cousins pick, which I sort of said I would talk about later. When you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers who is matchup proof, who is an every week plug and play, you don't need another quarterback. And so to say like, in the 11th week, we're going to have to, because Aaron Rodgers has a bye at some point, and in week 11 we're going to have to play somebody else. You can pick somebody up off waivers for somebody who hasn't materialized, or you use a spot, or you drop a defense, whatever the case may be. But to say that you're going to drop, or you're going to take Kirk Cousins where you could have taken Noah Fant, a tight end with upside who could change the tight end landscape, that might have been a better pick than going Kirk Cousins to back up a player that you are only going to not start for 1 week, and that's his bye week. So I just think it was a waste of a pick to go Kirk Cousins when you got the every week starter in Aaron Rodgers at such a value. So that's kind of the only thing that I would have changed. A big mistake, call it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't mind that Kirk Cousins pick too much. I don't mind getting 2 quarterbacks. I was actually looking at a Josh Allen as my second quarterback as well, just with that rushing upside and streaming capability. So we'll see. It depends on matchups, and it's pretty nice. You could switch between an Aaron Rodgers. You're going to start Aaron Rodgers every week unless it's an awful matchup, I guess I would say. So.
But even in an awful matchup, he's proven to be essentially matchup proof. Like you're going to start Aaron Rodgers every single week.
This is true.
Like, are you gonna not start Patrick Mahomes every week?
No, I guess you're right.
Are you gonna start Andrew Luck every week? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna start Aaron Rodgers every week? Yes, you are.
I will chime in and say that of that draft, Aaron Rodgers was my favorite pick because I thought that I was able to snake
100%.
just right at that ledge of, in my mind, before a massive drop off in value. And when you look at the board, really, as you were saying, I got it right at the end where I would be just as happy with an Aaron Rodgers as Mahomes or Luck. I would obviously prefer, I'd say Mahomes slightly higher, but to get him in the third round over where Mahomes went, the fifth round, sorry, the value to me was just fantastic because I would much rather have a Rodgers over a Mayfield, Ryan, or a Breeze. It's not even close in my mind, so that was my favorite pick of this draft, bar none.
I would agree. Matt Ryan is definitely a candidate that I would consider taking in this range, but it's too early. I can get a very comparable season out of a guy like Ben Roethlisberger or Phillip Rivers. Ben was the third best quarterback last year for fantasy, and to get him 4.5 rounds later than Mayfield or Ryan, I would rather have the value than to spend up on a guy like Matt Ryan. But I think Aaron Rodgers, third quarterback off the board, middle of the fifth, is an excellent pick. So that's kind of what I'll say.
Any closing statements from anyone here?
I learned that it is tough to draft when you don't know what your partner's thinking, but if you've done, say, 58 odd episodes together, you probably are on the same page. Yeah, you got an idea.
You got an idea. For sure.
I'd be curious to see what switching seats with one of you guys and doing an OG/newbie. You know what I mean? Like it's just instead of grouping the newbies together, like I think it would be an interesting outcome.
All right.
I would agree. I think Mark and I have very similar approaches to upside of potential, even if players aren't, I think we were heavier on the rookie optimism where you guys were trying to get a little bit more of accomplished value. So it's interesting when you read back.
Yeah, and that's easy to do when you're kind of just getting into the zone. Because I would say I was doing the same thing a couple years ago when I was really investing my time into fantasy football. It's super easy to get over enamored with some of the rookies. And I think this is why we do mock drafts. And I'm sure some of our listeners would agree with you guys and maybe agree with us on certain picks. And I think the more you do and the more you talk things out, I think the smarter you are at drafting.
I have one closing question, and it's going to go back to your round 9 pick. Let's just say that you had a choice between, you went McCole Hardman, but let's just say you had a choice between McCole Hardman and Geronimo Allison. Let's just say he didn't go a pick before you. Do you still go Hardman?
It's a tough debate. I am very high on the Hardman hype train right now, but that's a tough 50-50 right there. In the moment, I'm not entirely sure how I'd go. I'd probably say in my heart I'd go Hardman just because I'm intrigued for this season to see if he picks up the slack. That's going to obviously be left.
Mark?
I don't think I necessarily would have gone 2 rookies in a row. And just that alone would probably slant me towards someone else, not necessarily saying Geronimo Allison, but in this hypothetical, probably Allison over Hardman, just because I know that taking a rookie in any draft that early is a fly. I just have an astounding amount of faith in DK for some reason. And I think if it came down to it, Allison would be probably before Hardman in my books. But I do like Hardman, don't get me wrong. I named my team after him today.
Oh my God.
We're always trying to figure out, we have to try to figure out the number 2 in Green Bay. And that's going to be the most difficult thing to do in this offseason, whether it's MVS, Geronimo, who else is there, Mac? Who's the last guy?
For
Equanimity.
That's the one. That's the one. I think it's between Geronimo.
For me, it's Geronimo. It's not even close. But there are people that believe that they live on the MVS hill and they're willing to die there. I just, we forget how good Geronimo Allison is. We forget how much Rodgers likes him. And I just, behind Adams, somebody's got to step up and fill that role. The Randall Cobb position is wide open, and I think Geronimo's the guy that steps up and gets it done.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed that sort of blind partnered mock draft. Essentially, we are heading into the NFL season coming up. It's, nearing the end of June here, which is crazy to say. But we are coming up to preseason, not too far away. It's going to feel like, tomorrow by the time it actually gets here. It's going to go by so fast. And we are looking to fill 4 more spots for our listener league. You're going to see a post on our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook over the next week or so. Go ahead and drop us a comment, a DM, an email, however you'd like to, put your plea in to be a part of the league. We've got 8 guys looking for more. So keep an eye out for that. And please vote. Whoever you think had the better team, whoever won this draft, the OGs, me and Landon, or the newbies in Scott and Mark. We're going to post those on our Instagram and our Twitter. So go ahead over there and vote. And as always, if you are liking what you're hearing, go ahead and leave us a review or just hit that subscribe button so we keep coming to you each and every week. Draft season is upon us, so this is the time to be listening, to be locked in, get ahead of your league mates now, and stay tuned. For all of us, I'll say we'll see you next week, and we'll be talking some fantasy stock talk.
Have a great one,
everyone.
Until then.
All right, boys, have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.